A major Stranger Things. Season 4 Netflix streaming record was just broken after 3 years. By 99% RT Miniseries. What if I told you the most watched show on Netflix right now isn't Stranger Things, isn't Wednesday, isn't even American? And what if I told you it's about a 13-year-old arrested for murder? Stranger Things. Season 4 held the crown for 3 years, but in 2025, everything changed. A new show came out of nowhere. No marketing, no merchandise, no warning, just darkness. This is not a trend, this is a disturbance. Beat pause. Stay to the end, because the algorithm doesn't want you to know what you're about to hear. And if you're watching right now, you might be one of the few people that can handle the truth. So subscribe before this gets removed, because once we expose this secret, there's no going back. For years, Stranger Things was unstoppable, a cultural monster. Every season felt like an event. Season 4 alone racked up over 1.8 billion hours viewed. It stood as a monument to pop culture dominance, second only to Wednesday. But the internet has short memory. On Netflix's latest Tudum update, the second most watched English language show has quietly changed. Not with a bang, but with a whisper, a miniseries you've probably never heard of. A British psychological drama with only 4 episodes. It's called Adolescence. No superheroes, no monsters, no laugh tracks. Just a family, a murder, and a 13-year-old boy with a secret. Why did Adolescence, a completely unmarketed miniseries, suddenly dethrone one of the most beloved shows in history? Why is it the only show in the top 5 with an average viewing session of under 4 minutes, yet with 141.2 million unique views? Something's off, and it's not just the show, it's how Netflix works. According to internal Netflix data, Adolescence isn't just successful, it's an anomaly. It didn't break records because people loved it. It broke records because people couldn't stop looking at it. When the first episode opens, you're not greeted by a theme song or even a logo. You're dropped into a quiet home. And then a scream. No recap, no explanation, just a single phrase from a crying child. He didn't mean to do it. That's when you realize you're not watching a show, you're watching a confession. The creators of Adolescence remain mostly anonymous, but those who know. One of them was a former police psychologist. The story itself, loosely based on classified cases involving minors, real, sealed UK court documents, twisted into fiction just enough to avoid legal takedown. Forbidden knowledge disguised as entertainment. One Netflix insider described the show as a social experiment disguised as streaming content. Good, because we're just getting started. But why would Netflix greenlight something like this? Why did Adolescence have no premiere trailer, no cast interviews, no merchandise drops, yet skyrocket to second place globally in a matter of days? Is it because viewers were truly captivated, or were they being tested? Some say Adolescence triggered unexplained emotions, guilt, nausea, déjà vu, among viewers. Reddit threads discussing the show are flooded with people claiming to have dreamt of the scenes before watching. One TikTok therapist went viral after saying, "The show made me remember things from my childhood I had completely blocked out." Coincidence or something else? What you're seeing in this video can't be explained in a single viewing, so if you haven't subscribed yet, this is the moment. We're going to break this wide open, the plot, the real-life inspiration, the hidden messages, the unskippable scene Netflix silently patched. Because this isn't just a Netflix mystery, this is a mirror, and what you see in it might just change you. In a sea of fantasy, Adolescence delivers a story that's all too real. The series opens with the fictional arrest of 13-year-old Ethan Holloway, accused of killing a younger neighborhood boy, but this fictional case bears an uncanny resemblance to a sealed real-world case in the UK from 2008. The details line up too precisely to ignore: a young boy accused, a body found near a construction site, a confession allegedly obtained without legal representation, and, most haunting of all, a diary entry that read, "If he dies, maybe they'll stop yelling." That line is repeated word for word in Adolescence Episode 2. Netflix has never acknowledged the connection, but former Crown prosecution staff have anonymously told online sources that the series is dangerously close to fact. So the question remains, is this entertainment or evidence? Let's pause for a second. Adolescence has 141.2 million unique views, but the total watch time? Only 541.4 million hours. Compare that to Stranger Things Season 4 with 140.7 million views and 1.8 billion hours viewed. That means viewers are finishing Stranger Things. They're watching full episodes, multiple times. But Adolescence? Most people aren't watching the full show. They're starting it, freezing, backing out, or maybe they're getting exactly what they need in under 4 minutes. That raises a terrifying possibility. What if Adolescence was never meant to be watched in full? What if each minute of the show is like a psychological injection? One scene, one image, one sound, just enough to make an imprint. Episode 3 of Adolescence includes a 14-second scene that doesn't appear in the episode's description or timestamp metadata. There's no score, no dialogue, just a handheld camera tracking slowly through a child's bedroom. If you blink, you'll miss it, but freeze it at exactly 7 minutes and 14 seconds, and you'll see what TikTok users have dubbed the reflection. In the bedroom mirror, there's a face. Not the actors, not the camera crews, a third figure. One that doesn't move, doesn't blink. The Reddit post breaking it down received over 48,000 upvotes in 3 hours before being removed. Netflix, silent. That scene has now been allegedly patched in some regions, but users who downloaded the original version say it's still there, a digital ghost embedded in fiction. With millions in marketing, international press tours, and full theme park experiences, Stranger Things 4 dominated because of power. But Adolescence dominated because of curiosity. There were no ads for Adolescence, no Instagram filters, no Funko Pop figures, just word of mouth and whispers. People didn't discover it, they stumbled into it. And once you start watching, it feels less like a show and more like something you shouldn't be seeing. Here are some real viewer theories about Adolescence that have been removed or shadow banned from forums. The MK Ultra connection. Some claim the show uses actual declassified techniques from CIA mind control experiments to trigger specific memory responses. Algorithmic sabotage. It's been suggested that Adolescence was artificially boosted on the platform to test viewer manipulation, meaning its success was engineered, not earned. The Netflix black box theory. This theory claims that Adolescence is part of a Netflix initiative to implant story seeds in viewers. Short visual cues meant to sync with future releases, possibly even Season 5 of Stranger Things. Netflix has denied these theories, but has not explained why they're removing all mention of them. Why would Netflix suppress discussion about a hit show? Why does a 99% Rotten Tomatoes score sit next to no actor interviews and no creator credits? And why did one viewer claim that watching episode 4 made their smart speaker turn on and repeat a single word? Guilty. We're not done, not even close. In the next segment, we'll dive into a leak from Netflix's own testing servers, an unreleased episode of Adolescence that was only ever shown to 37 users in a control group, and one of them leaked it. Stay subscribed, stay watching, because if this next part gets taken down, you'll want to say you saw it before it disappeared. Most shows are built to entertain. Adolescence was built to haunt. But what if the version the public saw isn't the version Netflix originally created? In April 2025, a user going by the handle at Static Hour posted a thread on an obscure film theory forum. The title, Adolescence Test Screening Episode 5 exists. According to Staticore, he was invited to participate in a Netflix private beta experience earlier that year. The experiment involved watching unreleased versions of shows and giving feedback. Most were extended pilots, alternate endings, that kind of thing. But one assignment was different, a file labeled ADO-105, supposedly an unaired 5th episode of Adolescence. The runtime, 36 minutes and 6 seconds. The opening title, Missing, the content, something viewers aren't supposed to see. According to Staticore's detailed log, which has since been wiped from nearly every major site, the episode opens in an abandoned playground. The camera slowly pans around a rusted swing. In the distance, static. A child's voice is heard whispering, "I didn't want to hurt him, but I wanted them to stop." Then, silence. No actors, no action, just seemingly random footage. Close-up of a bloody t-shirt, a note with the word enough written 10 times, a shot of Ethan Holloway's mother standing in a room, but the background keeps changing. Viewers familiar with the Mandela effect say the scene changes ever so slightly each time you watch. But here's where it gets truly terrifying. At 18 minutes in, the screen turns to black, then flashes white. Then plays what looks like live surveillance footage of a Netflix office break room. One man, alone, eating. Then he looks up and says, "You weren't supposed to see this." Less than 72 hours after the post was published, the forum was taken offline due to security maintenance. The domain never came back. Staticore's Reddit, YouTube, and X accounts were all suspended for policy violations. Archived footage of the alleged episode 5 exists only as screenshots and screen-recorded reactions, but one clip still survives, reposted by a dark web user, showing a child's drawing from episode 5. The drawing depicts 3 stick figures, one in a red hoodie, one holding a bat, and one with no face. The caption underneath reads, "He told me he was real." The same phrase shows up again on a mirror in episode 4 of the public cut. Not drawn, scratched. So what was episode 5 really about? Some viewers believe it's a commentary on trauma. Others think it was never meant to be interpreted, only absorbed. The black dot theory suggests that throughout Adolescence, there's a visual signal, a black mark hidden in 23 frames across all 4 episodes. Freeze frame analysts on TikTok claim to have identified 17 so far. The dots appear on a cereal box, a door frame, a poster in a child's bedroom, a detective's notebook. What do they mean? The theory is that if you line up all 23 dots and overlay them on the final shot of episode 4, it reveals coordinates, a real location, a children's group home in northern England, the same home from the real-life 2008 case. We have to ask, should this even be on Netflix? Shows like Dahmer and Mindhunter dramatize crime and psychology? Yes, but Adolescence seems to blur the line between inspiration and exploitation. There are no disclaimers, no based on true events warnings, just a disturbingly authentic atmosphere, the kind only trauma survivors recognize. And yet, the show holds a 99% Rotten Tomatoes score from critics. Why? Because they say it feels real. That may be the most terrifying review a show can receive. Let's go back to viewership. Adolescence has fewer episodes than any show in the top 5. It's heavier, darker, harder to watch, and yet it passed Stranger Things 4, which begs the question, are we drawn to darkness, or is something darker drawing us? The line between curiosity and compulsion is razor thin, and if Netflix's algorithm is good at anything, it's knowing exactly when you're vulnerable. Because maybe this isn't just about clicks, maybe it's about compliance. In the next segment, we break down how Adolescence was used in internal Netflix tests to gauge viewer trauma thresholds. Yes, trauma thresholds. It's called emotional conditioning through serialized exposure, and the report was leaked. The science is disturbing, the intent even worse. So if you're still watching, you're part of something now. Subscribe, because if this video disappears, the evidence won't be saved. In May 2025, an anonymous whistleblower uploaded a compressed zip file to a peer-to-peer server. The file name was nextthr23full.x. The file contained internal Netflix documents, over 83 pages, marked with the words, Experimental Viewer Retention Protocol, Tier 3. At first glance, it looks like dry UX data, but buried in section 17.4, the contents change. It refers to something called the THTR model, Trauma Hook Threshold Retention. According to the doc, the model was tested on 4 properties, but one is highlighted in red: Property ID, ADOX, Psych DRM, Trigger Blend Alpha, Adolescence S1. THTR isn't about view counts, it's about how far a person will watch when experiencing emotional distress. The document outlines these terms: micro-reactive pause, a hesitation when a viewer stops to process shocking imagery; cognitive loop engagement, rewatching of the same moment to confirm what they saw; emotional rebound, when the viewer continues watching despite discomfort. The notes say, users who survive 3 micro-reactive pauses without skipping reach a 62% retention increase. In short, the more disturbed you are, the more likely you are to keep watching. Not to enjoy, not to be entertained, but to understand what just happened. It's not binge watching, it's self-induced psychological exposure. The files reveal that Adolescence was used in a closed testing group of 2,400 users, divided into control clusters. Group A got the official public version. Group B got a version with extra static noise, slowed music, and subtle visual shifts. Group C received alternate dialogue in key scenes. And Group D received everything: visual disruptions, auditory decay, scene looping bugs. Their results? 42% completed the show in one sitting, 67% reported dreamlike distortions in follow-up surveys, 8% requested access to the version again, claiming it felt real, and Group D had the highest rewatch rate of any test audience. They couldn't stop. The show became a compulsion. Netflix's recommendation engine doesn't just suggest shows, it observes. Every pause, every rewind, every second watched or skipped, it learns your triggers. A leaked portion of the file states, retention is no longer passive, it must be provoked, and that's what Adolescence was designed to do: provoke your fear, provoke your guilt, provoke your attention. The show's design includes deliberate emotional cliffhangers every 3 to 4 minutes. It's not entertainment, it's behavioral design. Here's the part that makes everything more chilling. Document section 23.1 contains a shutdown protocol. It lists a backup plan if public sentiment turns on Adolescence. The steps: label show as experimental art, disassociate producers from Netflix originals, remove names from IMDb and official site credits, reclassify under foreign acquisition. This would effectively erase Adolescence as a Netflix-created show. The final line of the doc reads, if they dig too deep, say it's performance art. They always buy that. It's not a denial, it's a strategy. Emotional conditioning isn't new. Advertisers have used it for decades. But Adolescence marks the first time a streaming platform may have implemented it directly into narrative content. Here's how it works. Introduce trauma within the first 4 minutes. Layer relief or comfort. A loving parent, hopeful music, reintroduce stress. Over time, this trains the viewer to associate comfort with chaos. The result? They need to see it resolve, even if it never does. That's how you get 141.2 million views on a show with only 4 episodes. Legally, Netflix is safe. Their terms of service state they may test different experiences on users. But ethically, this is uncharted territory. No public notice was given about psychological testing, no informed consent, just millions of users unknowingly participating in what one whistleblower called the first entertainment-based behavioral test at global scale. They didn't ask, they just watched. And that's the part Netflix was counting on. In the next part, we'll break down how Stranger Things 5 is rumored to include code triggers designed based on Adolescence's success. That's right, Stranger Things is no longer just nostalgia and demogorgons. It's becoming something else, something learned, something engineered. Subscribe, stay aware, because if Stranger Things 5 carries forward this blueprint, we'll all be in the upside down. But this time, you won't even know you've entered it.